Zarna.
Hey, Joya.
I decided to become a vegan.
You just decided that?
I decided because I heard this guy who's the CEO of this plant-based protein company last week speak, and he talked about how basically red meat causes inflammation, and that was what I needed to hear.
Yeah, but it tastes good. Did he say that?
Well, his does because it doesn't have any meat in it.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm vegetarian, as you know. I mean, I support veganism. I think it's a hard way to live, though.
Why?
Because you got to prep ahead. You got to be prepared for it, or you end up eating a lot of carbs.
I've been eating tofu.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But that has issues. It's a lot of estrogen.
You know what? I'm approaching
live.
menopause. I might need estrogen.
Yeah, I hear you. So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm getting ready to launch this public speaking masterclass in September. I've never done this before. I've always done like one-on-one coaching with people. But like more and more people are asking, right? Because everybody has to do video. It's the only way you have to engage people for your brand or your company or your service. And so people are wanting to figure out how to show up stronger. They just don't know how. They don't know what equipment to get. They don't know how to be succinct. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. But I actually had to take a class to learn how to create the class.
Well, listen, I'm surprised this is your first time doing it because you're so masterful at it.
Yeah.
You're so good at it. Like, if I hadn't been part of LadyDrinks and if I hadn't learned so many tricks and secrets from you, I'm not sure I would have a business today.
Okay, come on. I'll pay you $20 later.
Yeah.
Hey,
50.
Okay, 50. Fine. Price just went up. But tell me this. So you decided after, 15 years of being a mom that you were going to become a comedian. What made you decide to do that? I mean, this is a year-old venture of yours.
Yeah. I mean, I think I wanted to tell stories, but in a different way.
Yeah.
With humor. I think there's a lot of serious, heartfelt storytellers, brown women out there.
Yeah.
But the humor space was missing. Also, my whole life, people told me I was funny. So I was like, okay, this must mean something in America, because in India that means nothing.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Funny means nothing there, but I happened to be in New York and I was able to dig a little and find a little entryway for myself. And that's
what was the tipping point, like that moment that you decided that this was going to be the way forward for you?
The first open mic I ever did, when I stood up there and I realized that white people do this. Like
And
you
get paid for it?
They get paid to stand up there and rant about like nonsensical everyday stuff.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have so much respect for comedy writers because what they write is very insightful.
Right.
It's just, it's just done in a different way, and I just fell in love that day.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so what was the date? Like, what's your 1-year anniversary?
My 1-year anniversary was April 1, 2020, a few months ago. But tell me about the masterclass. Like, I know you did a lot of prep before you launched the masterclass.
Yeah.
What was involved in getting the prep ready so you're doing a really special class for the people who sign up?
So I followed the course to the letter, and one of the main things that I think is something I'll take away from anything if I ever launch anything to market again, and a lot of big companies do this, is that you have to do your research. You've got to interview. In my case, I interviewed 30 people and asked them what is their pain point around public speaking. Why is that a challenge? What would success look like? What would the perfect solution look like? And had they ever had any training before, and did it in fact work? So I one by one set up calls with people and did this for weeks. And then once I got all that language together, I put it into my go-to-market material and spit that same language back out, that same exacting language back out. So people saw themselves in what was ultimately going to be created. Now, that's all well and good, but at the end of the day, like when you walk into the class, I want to know what your specific goal is, because that's what I do when I'm doing one-on-one coaching, but I need to be able to do that in a class of 5 or a class of 7. So I'm asking everybody like what their specific goal is, so when we are critiquing you, we're critiquing you through that specific lens of the goal that you want to achieve. But I think that I learned by doing. I remember the first time I started reporting from the stock exchange floor, the only way I was going to become masterful at delivering business news, which by the way has a language of its own.
Yes, of course.
I was just going to do it, and I had to start doing it. I had to do it every hour, sometimes twice an hour, and that's how I got good at it. So we're going to be doing. We're not going to be like learning the history of like broadcast, heading back to Edward R. Murrow. No, we're going to get in there, we're going to do it, and then we're going to get feedback.
No, I'm sure when you started doing the business news, it was intimidating at first.
Yeah.
But did you have somebody to hold your hand? Like today you're holding so many of our hands and walking through this fire almost.
When I came into Bloomberg, which was my first on-air job doing business news, I was brought in as the understudy for one of the reporters that was already doing it. So I really got to learn at their feet for 7 months, and then it was feet to the fire.
Wow. So you credit them for giving you a little bit of coaching and guidance at the entry.
I just learned by observing.
Well, I'm telling you that I wouldn't have been able to start as strongly if I hadn't had you and Lady Drinks, because I think for me in particular, as a 15-year-old stay-at-home mom, the confidence alone was shattered. It was shattered. It was in pieces. And by giving me a step-by-step road plan, you helped me get started.
Wait, you're 15 years old?
No, my 15-year-old career as a stay-at-home mom.
I was like, wait, you're
No,
15?
15 years of being home and only interacting with kids and changing diapers changes your life. It changes the alchemy of your brain. I used to be a lawyer. I used to interact with adults, and that just vanished one day.
Right.
And then when I chose to come out of it, I was looking for ways to rebuild my confidence.
Yeah.
And I learned that by joining Lady Drinks, that the step-by-step methodical way in which you work inherently, even outside of this masterclass, was one of the best ways for me to get started.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like you had no confidence yesterday and today you're going to be on the stage.
Right.
Every day you had a little nugget to say, why don't you try this?
Yeah.
And that opened the door to the next that. And it became a little bit of a framework. So I'm very excited that you're launching this masterclass. I think it's going to benefit so many women in particular. I think, it's an issue.
Yeah.
We tend to minimize ourselves as something you've taught us.
Right. Well, I think as a culture, we've been taught to be seen and not heard, right?
Yes.
As a culture, we're supposed to be demure and we're supposed to be deferential. But when you're promoting your company or your brand or your product or your service or yourself, you've got to be able to speak up. And you've got to be able to communicate in a really great way. And I think one thing that I admire about you, and I say this to everybody, is that I admire your hustle. And I admire it most when I'm in the room, back when we used to be in real comedy clubs, and I know that you had a hand in bringing every single person into that room. But what I love the most, even though you've spent 15 years raising your kids, that your kids and your husband are in the audience too.
Yeah.
So my question is, who is your comedy for, ultimately?
My comedy is, when I started, I didn't know, but it's really for, number one, for brown women to resonate with their life and to feel like it's okay to laugh about our life experiences. We don't have to only laugh at Seinfeld and the white greats or the black greats. We can have our own comedic language, and it's okay to make fun of our mother-in-law, for sure, our mother-in-law.
Yeah. I saw that this morning.
Yes, and our children, and it's okay, no one's going to die. No,
right.
We're not so fragile that we're going to break into pieces because we made a joke.
You pride yourself on providing good, clean fun, which is why your kids and your kids' friends are in the audience as well.
Yeah, look, like you, I'm ambitious.
Yeah.
Clean comedy, clean observational comedy is one of the hardest types of comedy to develop and to deliver.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to be. If I'm going to spend the kind of time and energy that I spend and that I know you spend on your work, I don't want to settle for anything less than that.
I know. Once you said that I was carrying around this big backpack and you were like, what are you doing?
I was blown away. We met in the dead of the winter for something. I think it was your birthday, actually.
Right, it was.
Your birthday drinks. And you had a big coat on, boots, hat glove, and then a backpack like the size that somebody hiking up Mount Everest would carry. Because your day would start so early and go so long, and you would be prepared for every aspect of it.
Right.
And believe me, I learned so much just from that visual.
Yeah.
Because I learned that if she can do this without complaining on her birthday, I better tee up my game, step it up and stop complaining and get to that next level. I learned so much just by watching you that I honestly can't wait to take the masterclass myself.
Oh, wow. Thank you. You're kind of vocal. I didn't know you were going to take it.
No, I know. There's always something to learn.
Yeah.
And there's always even when you think you know it all, to be able to structure it, I believe your masterclass is very well laid out.
Yeah.
I think it'll help me think through my business plans and my communication. Like, for example, one thing you talk about is having the language to say no.
Yeah.
We all need it. We all know we need it, but I've been blowing it on myself for 2 years. I say no, I minimize, I can't do it, I don't know, I lie, I'm like, oh, my kid is not well. But you teach people how to say no in a business way, own that no.
I like to say in a graceful way.
Yeah, in a very, like, it. And by the way, the guys don't seem to have a problem with this. This is much more a female problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because, for the longest time before women entered the workforce, the only thing that we had was our likability.
Yes.
Right? So likability, if that goes away, then what did we have in the way of social currency? Nothing.
Nothing. True.
Right?
So what is it now? In all the research that you've uncovered, besides likability, what are the things that work for women business owners or women entrepreneurs?
I think that what works, at least in the 21st century economy, right? For the longest time, we were a manufacturing economy, so it didn't necessarily work. But now that we're more of a service-based economy, the fact that we know how to build relationships, the fact that we know how to nurture people, the fact that we have like a high level of emotional intelligence, I think that works in our favor, especially when you're working in a team environment.
Yeah.
More than anything.
But all of that still has to be channeled and shaped in an organized way.
Right.
If you're going to have it make impact.
Exactly. And that's what I'm teaching in the class, right? Is I think that people have a lot of information in their head, but they don't necessarily know how to get it out in a succinct fashion. Right? And how do I get from point A to point B without wandering off on some tangent? Women love to wander off on tangents, and you're like, I know you had a point here, but you've lost me because you've taken me off like a side road.
Well, you're like the king of keeping everybody in line. I do weekly calls with you all the time, and I see you. I mean, I have that tendency. And I now check myself, because I know if I don't check myself, Joya's going to be like, that's okay, but we're moving on.
I know. I got some feedback last week that maybe I could be a little softer, but not when you've got that many people on the call, right?
No, not softer. We all have to learn to work within these boundaries. It's totally fair.
Hey, so what's going on? I've been watching your little comedy clips. You're working out with our trainer, Joel.
Yes, our trainer. Shout out to Joel.
He tortures me before he comes to torture you.
Yes, that's
But
right.
I've heard him say that you are working towards a Netflix special. What's that?
Well, the Netflix special is something I'm dreaming for myself. I'm envisioning. It's on my vision board that we have created together.
Yeah, we did that back in January.
But I've decided that instead of sitting and waiting for it to happen, I'm preparing for it to happen.
Yeah.
And whether it ends up being Netflix or Amazon or I self-produce it, whatever happens, it's going to happen one way or another in the next few months.
You know what I love about this? Because I often get the question, how do I get on TV? Because I've done television for so long. And to me, everything that you need to be able to create a following, to create a channel, is at your fingertips at a consumer level.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you don't have to wait for a bunch of guys sitting in a boardroom in some ivory tower to ordain you worthy. You can build that following totally on your own. And if you've got compelling content, then you can show that you have subscribers, the media will come and find you. And I love that you're kind of reverse engineering that.
Well, look, I started out with the notion that nobody's going to come looking for me.
Right.
And I can waste my time chasing them or use all that time creating something so spectacular that I'm undeniable.
Right.
And that's what I choose to do. And I have complete faith that it will land for somebody. And if not, I'll make it land myself.
And we talk about this all the time, Zarna, you and me, is that, people like Sarah Cooper, who ostensibly looks like she had overnight success, she tried a lot of things again and again and again for years before she finally had her one big breakout skit that she did, right, where she's mimicking Donald Trump on a TikTok, or was it on TikTok?
Yeah.
But she tried so many different things, so I love that you're just trying stuff.
Absolutely, and that's part of what the pandemic has forced me to do, because the clubs are closed.
Yeah.
So I'm creating little skits, I'm doing sketch comedy, I'm doing written work, I'm doing memes, whatever I can to get the message out. And I'm sure, what is your plan to reach out? Who is your core audience for your masterclass? Who is your dream student?
I mean, for me, it's got to be somebody who's either a South Asian woman business owner, I mean, you can be non-South Asian, but that's my niche. Everybody knows that that's what I've gone to market for, but plenty of other ethnicities come. I want you to have an established business. I can't have you just starting out. Right? And if you're a corporate exec, if you're selling, if you're presenting to investors, if you're leading a team, then I think this is right for you as well. For somebody who is like a first-time leader but wants to show up more powerfully and wants to be able to command a room. Because ultimately, that's what you're doing, right? You're influencing, you're persuading, you're selling, whether you're the face of your company, whether you're heading up a team, all those things are transferable, and that's what we're going to be teaching in this class. I mean, of course, Lady Drinks continues with the programming as always, but I realized that one of the big values with which I lead this movement that I built today, that's 8 years old, is a direct extension of what I've done for so long, which is clear and cogent communication. I think that is such a keystone to powerful leadership and being able to share. Like, you walk into a room and someone asks you, what's your company? What do you do? You've got to be able to, you've got to share it in under 15 seconds. You can't drone on. Nobody wants the Mahabharata. They just want, like, the Cliff Notes.
Absolutely. And you're so good at helping us refine the message.
Yeah.
Because that message is, and part of our Lady Drinks calls gets refined every week.
Right. I'm forcing you to, like, speak up.
And when we start meandering, you're the first one to be like, okay, we don't want to hear all that. What's the top 2 or top 3?
Right.
Because truthfully, that's also reflective of the attention span in the world today.
I mean, it used to be that, like, a minute 20 when I was doing the news. Like, that was what an average package was. Then came the advent of Insta stories, and it was down to like 60 seconds. And now with TikTok, it's 15 seconds. You've got to get your message out in 15 seconds, and I find that to be such a fascinating challenge. But the people's attention spans are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and you've got to be able to deliver within those confines.
But you know what's funny, Joya? Truthfully, I'm surprised at how much you can do with 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very active on TikTok.
Yes, you've got a huge following.
Thank you. I have a joke that used to be 55 seconds, designed for Instagram.
Right.
Now I've managed to reduce it to 8 or 12 seconds. I'm shocked at my own creativity.
Yeah.
I never thought I would get there.
And that's the thing. I love that it's forcing us to be more creative. Yeah. You're succinct, but you've got to be creative inside of those short parameters.
Completely. And I know you're going to get all the women who sign up for it there to the next level. I mean,
well, I'm keeping it small. It's only 7 people, so I'm keeping it short.
Well, yeah, because I know how much personal attention you like to give.
Yeah.
But this has been, I can't wait to take it. I can't wait for my daughter to take it.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
going to come too.
Absolutely. I think every woman should learn.
Yeah.
Being able to articulate yourself forcefully, even in a non-business setting, is very important. You cannot really live life without it, even though that's not what this class is about.
But you bring up a good point, because one of the sort of criteria I think I have for the people that I want in this class is that I want you to have a track record of somebody who invests in themselves. I know that you invest in yourself, but I think that that's such an important piece, because if you don't invest in yourself and you don't see the agency and purchase in doing that, then you're not going to be interested in this class.
Right. And I think they wouldn't be driven to take it. They may take something,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
All right, so what's happening? We're coming up on the Labor Day weekend. You got any travel plans?
I am locally, not going too far because of all the travel restrictions and all.
Yeah.
Locally I'm doing a lot of digital shows.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I get booked for a lot of Zoom events, Zoom parties,
Yeah.
Labor Day parties, or weddings. Weddings now happening on Zoom.
Yeah.
So I get brought in, and it's fascinating how much the world has changed, and I'm part of it.
How do people book you for that?
So you can just go to my website and fill out a booking form and what the event is, and I design an event that's appropriate for whatever it is. Like, if it's a big charity event, I may have 3 comedians and MC, at that level. If it's a more smaller, cozy event, which is the bread and butter of what I do, it may be me and 1 opener.
Yeah.
And we also do custom jokes. If it's a birthday, a 50th, or like a wedding Sangeet, Indian Sangeet parties. I do a lot of those where I do Bollywood jokes.
Yeah.
People love hearing some Bollywood humor.
Of course, who doesn't love Bollywood? I was raised on a steady diet of Bollywood.
So of course, me too.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a lot of those, and for that reason, actually, holiday weekend is very busy for me.
Okay.
And how about you? You're getting ready to get started.
I'm getting ready to get started, but the class starts on September 9th, so this weekend I'm heading up to Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Chartered a couple of boats, be socially distancing and still be enjoying, the outdoors. And Labor Day weekend, just here. I've got a leadership hike planned for Lady Drinks. For those who feel like they would like to get outdoors, it's another way to be safe and socially distanced. Melanie Curtis, who has led our past retreats and is a coach and a pro skydiver, she's going to be leading the retreat. Don't worry, we're not jumping off of any cliffs.
Okay.
And yeah, we're just going to take it easy. And then we hurtle right into September. I can't believe it's September.
I can't believe it's September either. And I'm hoping that this all ends soon. And I can't wait to hear how the masterclass starts off.
Oh, you're such a great supporter. Thank you, Zarna.
Thank you, Joya. This was so fun. And I love doing this. Let's just do a little add-on. I love being part of Lady Drinks because together we're stronger.
Oh, can I pay you $50 now?
Yeah, done. Thank you.